What's up, YouTube? It's Mikey C here again. Today, I'm going to give you something a little different. I'm going to go conference by conference in the NFL, giving you what their 2020 draft, in my version, their mock draft goes, and how their 2020 rosters may or may not look. It's kind of a little different. I'm kind of excited making this because it's unique. So, before I get ahead of myself, I hope everybody's doing well, protecting yourself, staying safe, doing what you got to do. I know it's crazy out there, but I'm prayers to everybody out there. So, and if you are watching this, don't forget to subscribe, give me a like, appreciate it. Thank you very much. So I'm gonna start with the Arizona Cardinals, Los Angeles Rams, San Fran 49ers, and the Seahawks. And as I said, so the next clip I'm gonna show you is gonna be all their picks in my mock draft. It's broken up into each team, and the first number is the round, the second number is the pick, and it's below each team name. How I have it there. I have Wirfs going to the Cardinals with the 8th pick. I know a lot of people talking about wide receiver there, but I just, after the Hopkins trade, if Isaiah Simmons wasn't there, Tristan Wirfs was the answer. The Rams not having a first round pick, and they had 2 second round picks, and I think getting offensive weapons to replace the ones they just lost was key. 49ers, Herbert's probably not going to be there at 13, but in my mock draft I have him there. And Ayuk is going to be a surprise first round pick to many, but him falling to the 49ers I think is going to be a great pickup for them. And Seahawks beefing up that defense line with their first 2 picks. And Blaylock and Ane is pretty solid. But as you can tell here, the Cardinals had 5 picks. They made some moves, beefing up the O-line and helping out in that secondary. The Rams, their cap situation is horrible. So getting as many players as they can at some key positions and cheap is probably their goal right now. 49ers they have 2 first round picks, and they don't pick again until the 5th round. So they sit out day 2 in this mock draft. But they get some help on the offensive line with some guys I think are going to be sleeper picks, and Cameron Clark out of UNC Charlotte and Hakeem Adeniji from Kansas. And also their 7th round pick, Benjamin Victor. Don't be surprised if he creeps up. Maybe not this year, but in years to come, he may be a player. And then the Seahawks just added depth everywhere. O-line, D-line, wide receiver. And then their last pick, Khalil Tate, I think is just, he was there. They don't have really a backup. He's probably not going to play ever, but he could be someone that can just hold a clipboard and watch what Russell Wilson at his greatness. So we're going to start with the Arizona Cardinals. Offense, of course, we got Kyler Murray, Offensive Rookie of the Year. Really looking forward to seeing what he's going to do now that he has Kenyon Drake for a full season. Coming back with Larry Fitzgerald and Christian Kirk another year, and then adding DeAndre Hopkins because of a ridiculous, idiotic Bill O'Brien trade. So that's going to be fun to watch. Max Williams is not really a weapon in this offense. So having, which the Cardinals had 4 wide receiver sets more than, I think it was over like 300 more snaps than the next team. So Keyshawn Johnson is the 4th receiver here, but he's going to be getting a lot of playing time. And I think Isabella, he had that 1 catch against, I think it was the 49ers. And, Hakeem Butler's out all year, so let's see what he does. And they did draft in my mock Brian Edwards out of South Carolina, who had a catch that resembled Odell Beckham Jr. It was pretty amazing. If you don't know that, check it out. Their offensive line, if they can stay healthy, I think it's pretty solid, and that's where Wirfs comes in. DJ Humphries signed a contract. I think he's actually he's not a top 10 left tackle, but he's solid enough. And in this offense, with Kyler Murray being able to, skate around, I think this offensive line is actually pretty dang good, and their depth is solid. I really think it's solid. Marcus Gilbert, if he didn't get injured last year, would have been their starting right tackle, maybe even left tackle. Garcia, Galliard, Justin Murray was a surprise, and then Shane Lemieux played for Oregon last year. I think he's going to be a solid backup. Their defense, though, that's where they added in this offseason so far, getting Devon Kennard, Devondre Campbell, Jordan Phillips. That's solid, and bringing in AJ Terrell in my mock draft, and going this 3-4 defense with Chandler Jones gonna put up numbers. Corey Peters holding down the middle. Zach Allen, hopefully he steps it up in year 2. Patrick Peterson don't get suspended and actually start this season like he ended last year. Alfred not getting injured. Buda Baker's is Pro Bowler. Jalen Thompson, nice pickup. So watch out for this team. I think the Cardinals, just because I reside here in Arizona now, I'm not a Cardinal fan, but I am a Cardinal fan. Giants are my number 1, but I'm excited to see what unfolds this upcoming year for the Arizona Cardinals. And a little side note, don't be surprised if they win the division. The Rams, their cap situation is horrible. So, with that being said, they still do have a pretty solid quarterback. They're deep at running back, even if they getting rid of Todd Gurley, because Clyde Edwards-Helaire, rookie, he's pretty solid. He had a good year at LSU. Malcolm Brown will probably start, or it could be Darrell Henderson, or it could be the rookie. I mean, I think they're all going to be interchangeable. It just depends on who they're playing, I think, is what's going to happen with that. They did get rid of Brandon Cooks, but getting Jalen Reagor in the second round to go with Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods, I think that's solid. I think it's a solid 3 deep receiving core right there, and Josh Reynolds is no slouch either. Higbee and Everett, tight end, they're all right. They do what they do. They're not going to give you great fantasy numbers, but they're pretty solid for this offense. But the offensive line outside of Whitworth is questionable at best. Whitworth's a future Hall of Famer, but he's closer to 40 than he is 35, so I don't, he's going to give you all he can. I commend him for coming back because he's going to be on a team that's not going to do anything this year. I just truly don't see them doing much this year. Their depth could be better. I think Alex Taylor is going to surprise some people. South Carolina State, massive guys like 6'9", 315. Noteboom needs to step up after last year. Bobby Evans, I can see progressing, but after that, they definitely are going to need to do something with their salary cap and then their offensive line after this year coming up. Their 3-4 defense, though, you got Aaron Donald, and that's right there with Jalen Ramsey. Michael Brockers coming back after failed physical with a trade. Or whether, I don't know if it was free agency or trade, but with the Ravens. A very under-the-radar signing in A'Shawn Robinson because he was pretty solid with Detroit, and I think he's going to fit very nicely in between Brockers and Donald. Their linebacker crew, they got a cast off from Chicago in Leonard Floyd. Samson Ebukam, solid. He doesn't get enough recognition, but he's pretty solid. Troy Reader had a very underrated year last year. And I think Troy Dye can admirably fill in for Corey Littleton. He's not going to be Corey Littleton next year, but he's going to be a solid player. He's got sideline quickness, and I think he's going to help in the run game, covering tight ends. Troy Dye is a player. And their secondary is one of the best, I think, honestly. Taylor Rapp was surprised. John Johnson's underrated at free safety. Troy Hill's solid. They got good depth. But they're playing in a division that I think is it's up for grabs, but it's tough. So, and I just think the Rams are going to be the one that kind of ends up being last in the division, which they're not going to be last in the league. I think there's about 10 teams worse than them. But in this division, this upcoming year, they're just going to be last in the division. And I think that's just sadly how it's going to be until they fix their cap. Then we got San Francisco. A big cap hit with Garoppolo, so if he starts to not put up numbers, I mean, he didn't really, what was it? I can't remember that ridiculous amount of passes he threw in one game during the playoffs, I think it was, or towards the end of last season, he had like 6. I mean, that's ridiculous. You need a quarterback that can, that's not even game managing. That's just being there and giving the ball off and then collecting a $30 million paycheck or whatever it is. That's just crazy. So I would not be surprised if Justin Herbert beats him out for the position if this mock draft were to unfold like this. Running back, they've got some depth. Mostert had a monster playoffs last year. Tevin Coleman is solid, and he knows Shanahan's system. Their wide receivers are underrated. Deebo Samuel had one of the better rookie seasons for a wide receiver in a while. He's pretty solid, and they went under the radar. And I saw the Super Bowl with him, and they couldn't get him. I mean, he's going to be a future player. Brandon Ayuk, if they get him to match up with him, is going to be a matchup nightmare because both of them, once the ball gets in their hand, the end zone is in their sight. Kendrick Bourne, great third receiver. I'll never be anything more than that, but he's a solid third receiver and probably one of the best in the game. And you got speed for days with Goodwin as a backup or a return guy. Trent Taylor's a good slot guy. Pettis needs to step it up, and I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't make the roster. But maybe Benjamin Victor actually takes his place, which I wouldn't be surprised. George Kittle, arguably the best tight end in the game. Enough said. Don't even need a backup. I don't even know who this guy is. Ross Dwelley. I didn't even think the draft one either. Just, you got George Kittle. What else do you need? The guy's a stud. Their offensive line, though, I think is very stout. Joe Staley, he's almost done. But he's still one of the best. And Mike McGlinchey. So your tackles, you're solid there. Thomason's solid. Richburg is pretty good. He could be better. Your right guard was held down by Daniel Brunskill. And I think a rookie's going to beat him out. Could be Cameron Clark. It could be Hakeem Adeniji. But I think that's their weak spot right now. Coffee Michia actually started the Super Bowl. And Justin School is not too bad. So the offense isn't too bad. I don't think Garoppolo's the answer. So if they put Herbert in there, don't be surprised if they are putting up some great offensive numbers because now their 4-3 defense can put up some numbers too. Nick Bosa's a stud. They did get rid of DeForest Buckner to Indianapolis. That's how they were able to get Justin Herbert in this mock. But they still have Solomon Thomas, Eric Armstead. They have depth. Their linebackers could be a little better if Alexander stays healthy. Greenlaw was a nice surprise, and Fred Warner is a stud. That was a great find. So having him man your middle, being the captain of that defense, I think is a solid pick for them to get. He can match up with tight ends. He's going to hit you in the run game. And then your secondary, got Richard Sherman. He's not what he once was, but their depth all over the place, especially with the safeties as well. I mean, that's the thing is with this team is they're deep on defense, deep on their secondary, and their defensive line. So that's what's going to make them win probably at least another 10 to 12 games this year. And then we got Seattle. You got one of the best quarterbacks in the game in Russell Wilson. Who's the backup? It doesn't matter. Running game, Chris Carson, Rashad Penny, number one pick from a couple years ago, and then you have Eno Benjamin in my mock draft. I think Benjamin's probably going to be more special teams. Carson's solid, though, so they're going to be all right there. Getting DK Metcalf last year, steal. 64th overall pick, steal. Such a solid pick. He had 900 receiving yards. He's going to at least get 1,000 this year. And Lockett's always going to put up some numbers. Dorsett, I think he's going to be more of a... He's just going to help open up the field because of his speed, and their depth isn't that bad either. David Moore, Malik Turner wasn't bad, and if Hodgins is a receiver on this roster, he could get some PT as well. Greg Olsen signing, I think that was pretty solid, but I don't see how much he's going to do this year. It's almost like Jason Witten to the Raiders. Olsen's still a little bit better right now, but Disley's pretty solid. So I think those two are going to take turns. Their offensive line, the names are there. Dwayne Brown, DJ Fluker, but the production's not. But if they can stay and I'm going to keep saying it, if they can stay healthy, I think they got a solid offensive line and their backups. Chad Wheeler and Cedric Ogbuehi, they could be starting for other teams, and they were starting for other teams. BJ Finney solid, Joey Hunt solid, and then the rookie Ben Bredesen, he could play guard or right tackle. So I think they have depth now. Russell Wilson might not have to run for his life anymore, which is scary because if he's actually focused even more and having breathing room, he can will this team to the playoffs and further. Their 4-3 defense, it's a little different. I don't have Clowney here because I don't know where he's going. I don't know if he's going to be on the team. I really think he's going to be elsewhere. By making this video, April 14th, he's not on the Seahawks roster in my mind. Bruce Irvin is, Bradley Anae is, Ross Blacklock, Jaron Reed. That's a solid front four, and your backups are even probably the best when it comes to a group of four 4-3 defense that you can get as backups. Rasheem Green can play tackle or end. He can sack from anywhere. So I think that if this how it ends up, they don't need Clowney. And if Clowney is on this team and they still have this group, they have depth for days, and they're just going to keep coming at whoever they're playing, and that's where their heart is this defense. Bobby Wagner, KJ Wright, Cody Barton's pretty solid, and they have great backups there in the linebacking core. And then their defensive secondary with Shaquille Griffin, Quentin Dunbar, Quadri Diggs, Bradley McDougall, and their backups. So the one thing that the Seahawks have, according to this roster, is depth on the defensive side. So it's not going to matter, if somebody gets hurt, they got someone to plug right in. So between them and the Cardinals, 49ers, one of them are going to win the division, and I think it's all going to be within a game, or it could even be a same, record, and they have to go by, whatever it is to they decide to do to break a tie, But this is my first video of doing something like this. I appreciate everybody watching. As I said, I hope everybody's okay. I'm going to try to get out the AFC West out next. I'm going to try to do all the divisions, all of them before next Thursday, before the draft, because I want to drop my last first round mock draft the morning of the draft. If I can't get another one out before then, I'd like to actually try my hardest to get a mock draft, 1 round mock draft with trades, because I like to kind of play with that. But if I don't have time for it, I won't. But I'm definitely going to try to be pushing out these conference by conference mocks and outlooks for the 2020. Don't forget to subscribe. I appreciate all the love that I get. And until next time, stay safe.